there, Super Kids! Are you ready for a ride of fun and learning? Get ready to blast off on Kids Arena with Auntie Pearl and crew on Radio Afinju every Saturday at 10 to 11 a.m. Listen to stories that will tickle your bones, games that will blow your mind, and music that will make you dance like no one's watching. There's also lots of surprises and gifts to be won. So gather your friends, turn up the volume, let's have fun and make awesome memories together on Kids Arena with Auntie Pearl and crew. Only on Radio Afinju.
For inspiring stories, real talk, from health and wellness to career and relationship, we explore it all. Meet your host, the Radio Gem, and other women on Women Corner every Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m., where sisterhood meets support. It promises to elevate your mind, and most importantly, it's gonna be fun. Follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, all at Radio Afinju. Keep a date with us on Women Corner every Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m.
on Radio Afinju.
Where secrets are revealed and desires are uncovered. Do you have a secret? A truth you have been afraid to reveal?
Welcome to Whispers in the Dark.
Come with me. I am On Drops.
And I am Classic.
On Confession Night every Monday, 9:15 to 10 p.m. This is a place where real people share their deepest, darkest secrets.
Are you? Wherever you're listening or watching Radio Afinju, the time is 3 p.m.
First, a look at the highlights. Court orders INEC to accept Labour Party candidates for Ondo gubernatorial polls. Sudan Army launches major attack on capital Khartoum. NYSC mayor charged with taking bribes and illegal campaign funds. Good afternoon. Here is the world news on Radio Afinju. My name is Stella. Aderanti, the news in detail. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to accept and recognize Olushola Nehemiah and Ezekiel Awude as the governorship and deputy governorship candidates of the Labour Party for the Ondo State gubernatorial election. The court ordered that Nehemiah and Awude must be accorded recognition, rights and privileges as governorship candidates for the November 16th Ondo State governorship poll. Justice Emeka Nwite issued the order in Abuja while delivering judgment in a joint suit instituted against INEC and others by the Labour Party, Nehemiah and Awude. In his judgment, Justice Nwite held that the second primary election held by Labour Party and which produced Nehemiah and Awude was valid and must be upheld by INEC. The judge said that evidence abound that Nehemiah paid 20 million naira into one commercial bank account of Labour Party for nomination form and was duly issued a form that led to conduct of the second primary election. The judge also held that evidence abound that Labour Party ordered Nehemiah to pay 5 million naira to one Olorunfemi Ayodele Festus into his account in another bank as expenses upon his withdrawal from the gubernatorial race. Justice Nwite said it was wrong and illegal for the Julius Abure-led Labour Party leaders to disown the fresh primary election that produced Nehemiah and Awude having met all conditions precedent. He therefore ordered INEC to accept the nomination of Nehemiah and Awude and publish their names as lawful candidates of the Labour Party for the Ondo State governorship election slated for November 16th. As part of the programs lined up to formally herald the 2024-2025 legal year of the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, will swear in 87 new senior advocates of Nigeria on Monday at the main courtroom of the court. A statement by the Director, Information and Public Relations, Festus Akande, said that the CJN will deliver a State of the Judiciary address with a view to highlighting the performance of the Supreme Court in particular and the Nigerian judiciary in general in the 2023-2024 legal year. In the same vein, other leading stakeholders in the justice sector will present speeches bordering on the state of the justice sector of the country. These include the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Chairman of the Body of Senior Advocates of Nigeria, and President of the Nigerian Bar Association, amongst others. The Supreme Court commenced its annual vacation on 22nd July 2024. Still on judicial matters, Justice Halima Salman of the Kwara State High Court has found the 5 suspects involved in the Offa robbery incident guilty of illegal possession of firearms, armed robbery, and culpable homicide. According to the judge, the incident happened in April 2018 and is punishable by death. Delivering the judgment, which lasted 3.5 hours, the judge said all evidence submitted by the prosecuting team found them guilty. On the possession of firearms, the verdict pronounced judgment of 3 years in prison. The convicts are Ayoade Akinibosun, Ibikunle Ogunleye, Adeola Abraham, Salaudin Aziz, and Niyi Ogundiran. While there were 6, one of the suspects, Michael Adiku, died in custody. Briefing journalists, the prosecution counsel said various reasons ranging from the COVID-19 period and national assignments given to the judge informed the long process and thanked the court for the judgment. The representatives of the defense counsel, however, said the judgment will be appealed soon. Recall, in July, the court reserved judgment in the case. Similarly, an Osun State High Court sitting in Ede has remanded a traditional ruler, Elegbedi of Egbedi in Osun State, Oba Muhyiddin Aziz, and 4 other defendants in the Ile-Ife Custodial Center. The defendants were remanded following their inability to perfect the bail condition granted by the court. It was reported that the monarch and the other defendants were standing trial for alleged arson and malicious damage of a farm in Iloba town. Akibu Abioye, Yisa Akolapo, Rashidi Ayondiran, and Sarafadin Abioye were the other defendants standing trial alongside the monarch before the court on a 29-count charge. Justice Kudirat Akon, at the resumed proceedings, had granted the bail application of the defendants in the sum of 5 million naira with 2 sureties each. One of the 2 sureties, Justice Akon stated, must be a level 16 civil servant with landed properties within the court jurisdiction. She added that the other must be a Part 2 monarch. The defendants were, however, unable to meet the conditions, and the vehicle of the correctional center were observed driving them out of the court premises. In other news, the Nigeria Governors Forum has extended its condolence to the Akwa Ibom State Governor, Umo Eno, over the loss of his wife, Patience Umo Eno. A statement by the state's Commissioner for Information, Ini Ememobong, announced the First Lady's death in the early hours of the day. According to the Commissioner, she died at a hospital on September 26, 2024, surrounded by her family members. Reacting to the loss, the NGF, in a statement by Kwara State Governor and Chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, Abdurrahman Abdurazak, said it was shocked that the sudden death of Patience Umo Eno, wife of the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Umo Eno. The forum prayed to God to repose the soul of the late First Lady of the state and give the family the fortitude to bear this huge loss. Away from Nigeria, Sudan's army has launched a major offensive against the powerful paramilitary group it is fighting in the country's civil war, targeting areas in the capital it lost at the start of the conflict. In dawn strikes, government forces shelled Rapid Support Forces bases in the capital Khartoum and Bari to its north. Sudan has been embroiled in a war since the army and the RSF began a vicious struggle for power in April 2023, leading to what the UN has called one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Up to 150,000 people have been killed in the conflict, while more than 10 million people, about a fifth of the population, have been forced from their homes. The military escalation comes despite U.S.-led efforts to broker a ceasefire, which is being discussed on the sidelines of a UN General Assembly this week. Residents of the capital said the artillery and airstrikes started overnight and intensified at dawn. Numerous accounts said the army crossed key bridges over the River Nile, which had separated government-controlled areas in Omdurman from the regions controlled by the RSF. In other parts of Africa, a Cameroonian separatist leader has been arrested in Norway for his alleged role in the ongoing armed conflict in the Central African country. Lucas Cho was arrested on charges based on his various expressions on social media, his lawyer told reporters. Cho is an influential figure in the Anglophone movement pushing for independence from Cameroon, where over 6,000 people have been killed and nearly 1 million others displaced since fighting began in 2016. Some in the country's 2 English-speaking regions say they are discriminated against by the French-speaking majority. Human rights group Amnesty International has accused both government troops and the armed separatists of killings, rapes and torture of civilians. A Cameroonian official told journalists that Norway and Cameroon had a security agreement which could see Cho being extradited in the coming days. In Asia, Japan's ruling party has elected Shigeru Ishiba as its new leader, positioning the former defense chief as Japan's next leader. 9 candidates contested for leadership of the Conservative Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, after Prime Minister Fumio Kishida announced last month that he would not stand for re-election. Since the LDP has a paramilitary majority, its party chief will become prime minister, and Ishiba is expected to be appointed to the role next week. The change of guard comes at a turbulent time for the party, which has been rocked by scandals and internal conflicts that disbanded its once powerful factions. Ishiba, 67 years, led in most opinion polls, with this being his 5th and he said final bid to lead the LDP, which has ruled Japan for most of the post-war era. The winner was decided by an internal party vote rather than a public one. The race started with 9 candidates before heading into a runoff between Ishiba and Sani Takeichi, 63 years, who vied to become Japan's first female leader. A Hong Kong court has jailed 2 journalists who led a pro-democracy newspaper after they were found guilty in a landmark sedition case last month. Chung Pui-kyun and Patrick Lam, editors at the now-defunct Stand News media outlet, had published articles about the crackdown on civil liberties in the city under China. Chung was sentenced to 21 months, while Lam was given 11 months but was released on medical grounds. It is the first sedition case against journalists in Hong Kong since the territory's handover from Britain to China in 1997. Both journalists were charged under a colonial-era sedition law, which until recently had been rarely used by prosecutors, rather than the controversial National Security Law, NSL. In Europe, Vladimir Putin said Russia would consider an attack from a non-nuclear state that was backed by a nuclear-armed one to be a joint attack in what could be construed as a threat to use nuclear weapons in the war in Ukraine. In key remarks last night, the Russian president said his government was considering changing the rules and preconditions around which Russia would use its nuclear arsenal. Ukraine is a non-nuclear state that receives military support from the U.S. and other nuclear-armed countries. His comments come as Kiev seeks approval to use long-range Western missiles against military sites in Russia. Ukraine has pushed into Russian territory this year and wants to target bases inside Russia, which it says are sending missiles into Ukraine. In the meantime, Donald Trump has agreed to a last-minute meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky, despite repeatedly criticizing him on the U.S. campaign trail. The Republican presidential nominee told the news conference that the Ukrainian leader will visit Trump Tower just days after Trump criticized him for refusing to make a deal with Moscow. The former U.S. president appears to have changed his mind after early reports from his campaign said a meeting between the two was extremely unlikely. Trump was impeached in 2019 over accusations that he pressured Zelensky to deep up damaging information on the Biden family. A rough transcript of the call revealed Trump had urged Zelensky to investigate Biden as well as Biden's son. Since Russia launched its full-scale invasion on Ukraine in February 2022, Trump has frequently repeated Moscow's talking points about the war. During September's presidential debate, he sidestepped a question on whether he wanted Ukraine to emerge victorious in the conflict. And after the meeting with the Ukrainian leader, Trump repeated his long-standing claim that he would be able to make a deal between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Zelensky quite quickly. In the Americas, New York City Mayor Eric Adams is due to be arraigned in a federal courthouse to face 5 counts of criminal offenses, including bribery, wire fraud, and soliciting illegal foreign campaign donations. An indictment unveiled alleges Adams sought and accepted illegal campaign funds and over $100,000 in luxury travel benefits from Turkish businessmen and an official seeking to gain his influence. Adams, 64 years, is a former police officer who was elected to lead the most populous U.S. city nearly 3 years ago on a promise to be tough on crime. The mayor was denied any wrongdoing and rejected growing calls for his resignation. Adams' arraignment, in which he will be formally informed of the charges and asked to enter a plea, will take place before Magistrate Judge Catherine Parker. If convicted, the mayor could face up to 45 years in prison. The U.S. state of Alabama has executed Alan Miller, the second American ever put to death by inhaling nitrogen gas. Miller, 59 years, was sentenced to death over the back-to-back workplace murders of Lee Holtzbrooks, Christopher Yancey, and Terry Jarvis in 1999. His execution marks the 5th in the U.S. within a 1-week span, its greatest use of capital punishment in more than 2 decades. Also, Emmanuel Littlejohn received a lethal injection in Oklahoma after the state's governor denied a last-minute clemency request. Miller's execution marks the 18th so far this year, and 7 more are scheduled over the remaining 3 months of 2024. It also marks the 1,600th execution in the U.S. since the nation's highest court reinstated the death penalty in 1976, according to the Death Penalty Information Center. The number of executions has risen over the past 3 years, with Texas, Missouri, Alabama, and Florida leading the way. Last year saw 24 people put to death, up from 18 in 2022 and 11 in 2021. From the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told the country's military to continue fighting with full force against the armed group Hezbollah, despite calls from the U.S. and other allies for a ceasefire. Lebanon's health ministry said at least 92 people were killed in Israeli airstrikes on Thursday, with hundreds more killed since the strikes escalated on Monday. Hezbollah has confirmed that an airstrike on an apartment building in the south of Beirut killed the head of its drone unit, Mohammed Suro. Fears of an all-out war between Israel and Hezbollah are at a high after a dramatic escalation in Israeli strikes on Lebanon since Monday. The increase in hostilities prompted a 12-strong bloc, including the U.S., UK, and EU, to propose a 3-week ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. The proposal was initially met with hope after Israeli ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, said his country was open to ideas, but by Thursday it had been roundly rejected by Israeli politicians. Now talking sports, Libya head coach Nasser Al-Hadiri has unveiled a 28-man squad for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying doubleheader against Nigeria. Al-Hadiri kept faith with some of the regular players in the team. Al-Ittihad star Abu Shaibab, Mohamed Al-Tabal of Al Nasser, and Ahmed Al-Masmari of Barcelona B are some of the key stars in the team. Libya will face the Super Eagles in a matchday 3 encounter at the Gatsula Pabio International Stadium, Uyo, on Friday, October 11th. The North Africans will host the 3-time African champions in Benina 4 days later. The Mediterranean Knights are bottom of Group D with 1 point from 2 games. Before we go, here again are the highlights. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to accept and recognize Olushola Nehemiah and Ezekiel Ewude as the governorship and deputy governorship candidates of the Labour Party for the Ondo State gubernatorial election. Elsewhere, Sudan's army has launched a major offensive against the powerful paramilitary group it is fighting in the country's civil war, targeting areas in the capital it lost at the start of the conflict. And from the Americas, New York City Mayor Eric Adams is due to be arraigned in the federal courthouse to face 5 counts of criminal offenses, including bribery, wire fraud, and soliciting illegal foreign campaign donations. And that was the world news on Radio Alfinju. To view our channel, please follow us on Facebook, Radio Alfinju, X, Radio Alfinju, and YouTube, Alfinju FM. My name is Stella Aderanti. Thanks for listening.